Hello and welcome to episode 236 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is April 7th and together with Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello everyone. So a few weeks ago, we released a blog post called Introducing ABAP Support in GitHub Copilot for Eclipse. Immediately after publishing it, there were quite a few comments from the community. Last week, I was actually at the DSAG Technology Days, and there I was also asked by a lot of customers, partners, SAP Mentors, and others about the status and the meaning of all of it. So in today's sessions, I'm really happy to have Sandra and Hang with us to talk more about GitHub Copilot for Eclipse. Before we get into the topic, Sandra, Hang, can I ask you to introduce yourself quickly? What do you do at Microsoft?
Hi, I'm Sandra Ahlgrimm and I work as a cloud developer advocate for Java developers at Microsoft. So my main goal is that Azure becomes the favorite cloud for our Java developers.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandra.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Wang. I'm actually the product manager for GitHub Copilot for Eclipse. I'm primarily working on improve developers' experience on Azure, and GitHub Copilot is just like a very cool AI tools that it can benefit everyone experience on Java programming. Nice to meet you guys.
Perfect. Well, it's really, really great to have you. And I mean, you already mentioned it. GitHub Copilot. Actually, when I look at myself, GitHub Copilot, to be honest, in Visual Studio Code, was the one tool that really convinced me that AI can make me much, much more productive. I mean, I used to be a developer many, many years ago. I in the meantime, got out of touch of development. And with the help of GitHub Copilot, this truly enabled me to become much, much more productive again. If I want to write some code, GitHub Copilot just helps me to do this. Can you maybe, Hang, you mentioned, can you maybe quickly introduce or talk about what actually is GitHub Copilot? What does it do?
Sure. Thank you. So GitHub Copilot, actually, when we're talking about GitHub Copilot for Eclipse, we're talking about a specific product lines. As you may know that we have a lot of different extensions on all kinds of IDs, include VS Code, JetBrains, and Xcode. And Eclipse is actually the new baby in the Eclipse in the GitHub Copilot product lines. We actually announced the product review on Valentine's Day of 2025. So it's a very special day to remember. Yeah. Because of the early stage of our GitHub Copilot on Eclipse, we currently support two major functions. One is code completion, as you mentioned. It will just quickly respond to your typing in ID, and then we will just give you suggestions based on your code. Another cool feature is chat experience. A lot of people may know that you can directly talk with the chat agent and ask questions, ask for code explanations, ask anything you want inside ID, and the GitHub Copilot will give you responses. So those are the two major responses we have. And apart from, as you mentioned, ever since we released the first version, we got a lot of responses. And SAP is definitely one of our major customer, and we actually received a lot of requests of unblocking the ABAP support, because for the initial release, ABAP developer cannot directly get access to the GitHub Copilot features, even though they installed that the ID. And once we received that giant feedback, we just immediately put into action and quickly provided an unblocked version of ABAP. Now customers can directly enjoy the ABAP experience on the GitHub Copilot for Eclipse.
Perfect, amazing. Before we go into the ABAP part, maybe let's take a closer look at Eclipse or the GitHub Copilot experience in Eclipse, specifically around Java and the non-ABAP part. I mean, you mentioned the code completion, right, and you also talked about the Copilot chat functionalities. Actually, what I really, to be honest, in the beginning, I only focused obviously on the code generation, the code completion piece. And I only recently started to really also experience and benefit from the chat functionality, because I think the beauty of the chat thing is that it has access to the full project that I have open in my case, Visual Studio Code mainly. So if I ask a question, it has all the context. So could we take a look at how does the experience look like in Eclipse?
Sure.
And maybe take a look at a Java example to see how GitHub Copilot actually works in Eclipse.
Sure. With that said, let me quickly share my screen. All right. All right. Can you guys see it?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Here is actually the marketplace URL you can see. And once you install Eclipse, you can actually have that plugin directly seen from the marketplace. The current support version we have is up to 2024 September. So let me quickly show you the experience. This is just like a very simple project that I created. As you can see that I'm doing nothing but a quick sort function. And here I can ask a question for a code explanation. I will introduce the chat experience first because normally people start with chat and then once they code, they will do the code completion. All right. So as you can see that here I can select different models. For example, maybe I can select, GPT 4.5. And then you can just do a slash comments and select quick prompts, or you can forget about the comments and just ask your questions. I will do like, can you and the code to me? Just like this question. So what it does is it will ask a question direct to the GitHub Copilot agent, and then it will just, you can see that it started to respond with a code analysis. It will detect that there is a quick sort function, and then introduce the basic algorithm and what actually the code snippet inside it. Right. So this is basically the chat experience. Now maybe I can do a like a code experience. Like I will probably create a. Can you name a different like sorting algorithm, like bubble sort or merge sort or whatever? Just give me some some
Yeah, go with
suggestions.
bubble sort then.
Okay. Right. Here I'm creating a new class called bubble sort, and then I started to implement that. You can see that there's some ghost text.
It even suggests the comments. Nice.
Yeah. You can do, like think about probably 1.5 seconds, it will give you some suggestion. And you can accept that by hitting tab key. And you can see that now I have the bubble sort algorithm implemented, right? Now I want to say, okay, here you have bubble sort. Can you tell me the difference between like bubble sort and quick sort? I can, attach the quick sort class that we just have, and then do like do a code comparison. I think after asking this question, it might probably think a while and then give you the algorithm comparison between quick sort and bubble sort. It will even give you like time complexity. You can see that, and space complexity, I guess. Well, normally we cannot control the answer because it's really depend on what kind of model you have. If you select different model, the explanation might be even different. So as we're choosing 4.5, you can see that this is like the normal response from the GPT 4.5. Yeah, so that's a quick demo of our two major features of Java experience on GitHub Copilot for Eclipse.
Cool. One thing, what about, I mean, here obviously you're already doing some code explanations basically, where even deeper obviously with a comparison of different codes. What about creating test data or creating unit tests potentially? Sure. Is this also something that I can do here from Eclipse?
Yeah, like you can we have integrated prompts that you can directly do, and you can hit on tests, and it will give you some test cases. You can review it and apply that. This is actually integrated into our slash comments. You can even like ask a human questions, and it will also give you similar suggestions.
This is really, really powerful. So if you compare the functionality now of GitHub Copilot in Eclipse with the functionality of GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio Code, is it on par, or are there still some things missing in Eclipse, or and yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question. As I mentioned, like for Eclipse, is a new baby, and we only have these current two features. What we have is like for basic features like code completion and chat experience, we are pretty much similar. And for that our next goal is to catch up with some even advanced features like agent mode, and we're trying like as much as we can to catch up with that experience. So like probably later this year or in the middle of this year, we're going to have like a pretty similar feature experience. By that time, the feature scope would be fixed. Currently, for chat and code completion, these are the major tools, but the feature scope are quite similar. So as long as you can experience the code completion on VS Code, you will definitely get the same experience on Eclipse.
But I will have now to copy paste this code and create a test file myself. Okay, just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you can select copy to clipboard or directly insert that into editor. So you actually have two different button to do. I would just probably do a copy and go to the test. Or you can
let's
even
actually
ask
run it and see if it's working.
Yeah, let's even ask like how can I, like where and how? Where? Here. Put that.
I imagine the life of all professors at university and coding teachers will become much harder.
Yeah, I hope I would have this.
I had to program those in my first years, and they had to, ask us questions if it was really us who coded those, or if we got some help from some old mentors or whatever. And I was like, I could have asked Copilot beforehand and let it explain, and if I learn carefully, but then it's maybe good enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, by the way, Eclipse is actually my first idea when I was in college.
Too,
and Java is my main language back in college. I hope I could have like Copilot to help me during the college years, but I actually learned all by myself.
Yeah, that would have been amazing, and also would have saved me a lot of money. I paid for all the tutors who helped me along the way.
Right.
Thanks again for being there.
All right, here creating, just as suggested by Copilot, I'm going to create a new class, probably called quick sort test. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I should probably copy this one.
Oh, it also comes with the imports.
Yeah, I'll just completely copy and paste everything. Oops, looks like it's I should probably forget about this too.
You might need those, but then you do the autocorrect of Eclipse, and yeah.
Okay. And for this one, should I do this one?
No, I think you're missing the import now. Okay.
Yeah. Now let's JUnit test.
Let's see how this works. I mean, we don't need to dive too deep into this, but I mean, I really like that you're guided now in a different way, obviously. And as you said, for a lot of developers, Eclipse is the tool of choice. I mean, again, I have to admit I'm more like a Visual Studio Code guy, but there are a lot of customers out there that are using Eclipse.
It's also still de facto standard at most of universities. So here in Berlin, like my old university, they still have Eclipse because, they have all those marketplace extensions that they can still use.
Yeah.
So it's still state of the art, and also we've seen many customers using it. Always a surprise, because first I also totally underestimated the number of developers who were amazed by Copilot in Eclipse, and also with the ABAP support even more.
Exactly, and that's maybe the beautiful bridge to the next topic, because if you are using SAP, if you're an SAP developer, then for years you developed in the SAP GUI. You knew all the transaction, SE80, you would go in there, you had your own embedded and developer environment in the SAP GUI, and that was the recommended way. Now, I think over 10 years ago, SAP started to push the developer or to offer a different development environment, and that was based on Eclipse. So SAP calls it ADT, so the ABAP design time tooling for Eclipse, where SAP in the meantime has a very, very sophisticated development environment with a lot of really, really cool functionalities, with embedded checks and guidance how you do ABAP development. So although I have to say, I don't think the whole ABAP community is already working in Eclipse, but it is a very, very important tooling story. So I'm not surprised that when the announcement was done that GitHub Copilot was now in Eclipse, that immediately ABAP developers wanted to see, well, does this also work in ADT? Does it also work with ABAP? And I think that's where we initially got in contact, because it was not working out of the box. There were a few things that you needed to fix to get it working, right? Okay,
Exactly.
But that's what you did. So you made it. You fixed it. You made GitHub Copilot also available in ADT basically, and that's where we now have officially also support for ABAP in Eclipse. Now, I have to tell you, when I talked to some of the community members, also SAP Mentors, the feedback was so-so, I have to say. So some of the customers really like this, that now ABAP support is there, but also some of the developers said, well, it's not yet perfect. But I think that's what was expected, right? I mean, Hang, you just showed the list of different models that you can select for GitHub Copilot Chat, for example, which and you talked about, depending on the LLM that I'll select there, I might get different answers. So when we now talk about ABAP, I think it's very, very important to highlight that at the moment, all these models that we have there in this drop down basically are not trained specifically for ABAP code. They're just whatever ABAP knowledge they have, that's what they can offer in GitHub Copilot in Eclipse, right?
Absolutely. We don't train specific models for ABAP. So the upper limit of the code experience is really depend on what kind of models you choose. And as you can see that we only have like open models. So as you can really imagine that for a very complicated ABAP scenarios, it may be not that perfect.
But I think it's a good starting point. And as you said, I think a lot of companies already have a GitHub Copilot license, for example. And now with this, they can easily use GitHub Copilot also in Eclipse, which also means they can also use GitHub Copilot for the ABAP development in Eclipse. So I think one thing that is important for me actually is to get the feedback now from the customers and our partners to see what is actually working, what is not working, how can we improve the whole experience. Would it make sense for Microsoft to start training a specific model for ABAP? Would it make sense for Microsoft to partner with SAP? Obviously, there is, and again, I think everyone watching with an SAP background knows there is Joule for ABAP developers now, where SAP, or there's an announcement, I think, for Joule for ABAP developers, where SAP has trained a model to bring a good ABAP experience to ABAP developers. So would it make sense to partner there? I think that's, from my point of view, one of the key things that we're looking at the moment, right? So we're not claiming that GitHub Copilot in Eclipse is perfect for ABAP developers, but we are on a road to go there, right?
Hang, don't we have bring your own license for Copilot in VS Code? Can we have that in Eclipse as well? Which would potentially open the doors for other vendors like SAP.
Yeah, I think since we're the same product line, so the ultimate goal we want to do is just unblock every possible like obstacles for customers to access the business model.
Can I please share that I really love the fact how Agile is working for our benefits in this case, because we really didn't have it in our roadmap, the whole ABAP support thing. We were just thinking about we need, like, as a Java advocate, I wanted the copilots, GitHub Copilots in all my IDEs that be where Java developers are. So I was like asking for IntelliJ and JetBrains support. And then for Eclipse, and then all the feedback came, which was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing your feedback. And also, again, if you have feedback for how the ABAP support and how Copilot in Eclipse is working for you, use the comments, give us your data, give us your feedback so we can actually work on this. And we take it very seriously, right, Hang?
Yep. Thank you again for unblocking everything that we have to for the ABAP support.
But Sandra, I love what you just said, that we didn't have ABAP on our roadmap when you started to have this. I think this is actually really, really cool, because your main goal was to get GitHub Copilot in Eclipse. And check, you did this. So it was there. And then all of a sudden, you were asked by the community, what about the ABAP support? You were asked by the community, by customers, what about ADT support in Eclipse? Because it was not working. So I think it's fantastic how quickly you then turned around and said, okay, well, if there's an ask, if there's a demand for ABAP support in Eclipse, then we'll make it work. Then we'll fix it. We'll give this functionality also to the ABAP developers. So I really, really love the way how Agile, Hang, and the team, how you worked to turn this around and make this happen.
And great is that you adjust to existing developers and their environment which they're used to, meaning they don't have to jump into Copilot user experience, they just use whatever they like, so whatever they are used to. And then that's really nice to see how Microsoft is adjusting to all developers and their use cases and to their current environment, which they're used to, right? So that's
I also really think this is absolutely amazing, yeah, that we're really getting this to the developers where they are. So I think the goal of our episode today was really to talk about the GitHub Copilot experience in Eclipse, to talk also or set it straight, basically, that this is not the perfect way for ABAP developers, but it's the first step along the way. So I think for us, and I'm repeating myself, but similar like what Sandra was saying, if you are working with this, if you are an ABAP developer, if you're testing this scenario, please provide us with your feedback. I think it would be great if the four of us, potentially with another colleague, maybe also with someone from the community, if we could have a follow-up episode where we really take a closer look specifically at ABAP. I mean, it was also, I really liked the comments from both of you that in the beginning, you didn't even know that the ABAP community exists out there. So you're probably not the ABAP expert. So my wish, and maybe this is also a call to action for everyone who's listening or watching the video, let's maybe have another follow-up call where we really dive deep into the ABAP capabilities. We know that not everything is perfect, but it would be great for us to learn and see what is working well, what is not working well, what is missing, so that going forward, we can either look at a bring your own license model, where we really allow customers, allow partners to bring their own model that helps, or that maybe has a better experience with or knowledge with ABAP coding, or potentially that, again, we partner with SAP, that we bring our own models to provide an even better experience.
Sure, really looking forward to that, and hopefully we can make the experience even better for our developers.
Absolutely. And I think that competition was never a bad idea. So might even have like other tool providers to, support more ABAP developer also on premise.
Sounds cool. Great. So with this, I would say thank you so much for showing us and providing us an overview of the GitHub Copilot integration in Eclipse. As said, hopefully we'll meet again very soon to have a more deep dive on the actual ABAP piece. And then, yeah, we'll take this whole project forward. Thank you so much.
We listen to the community's feedback. So if you are very loud, we can see each other even more often.
Sounds good. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
And see
Take
you
care.
next time.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.